I'm going to give you guys some key takeaway tips on how to play on this new map in your next game. So please stick around, listen to all the tips, listen to all the bits of advice, because honestly, I've made some pretty significant mistakes already since this new map has come out. So let's get straight into it. The first thing that you must take into consideration is how important the early game is. There is a lot more experience on the map, like heaps more, right? Like in the top lane there's more, there's with the Natus, in the bottom lane there's more. There's like less uncontested experience on the map, and there's more contested experience. Like they've taken away a little bit in your lane, and that's put like a little bit more in your like lane when you're running away, running up there, and they've given you a lot more experience contested with the enemy team in each lane. So what that means is that you absolutely must be winning your contested experience. That is just thing number one. Okay, like it's not negotiable, right? So use a Pokemon that's strong early. I've had a lot of my success with games where I'm using an Eevee, for example, or if I'm using something like a Talonflame in the jungle. So, however, when I'm using anything that requires like a little bit of late scaling, yeah, not so excellent. So just one thing to be considerate of. In this early game, the first objective is Regidrago, and that's, as you can see here, you've got to nail your rotations, guys. You need to get to this objective. Yes, it gives you scoring. This, like, the improved speed. The scoring doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. What matters is the global experience it gives your team. Because you know how important that, like, first Reggie is to get, or, you know, like, when the game first came out, there was that first, what was it, Dreadnought, right? This is so important to get for your team, okay? So, yes, it gives you goal scoring. You can see how quickly I scored the 30 there. But that, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the scoring, okay? The scoring doesn't matter. What matters is the experience that it gives you. Early game experience is super key. You can see I just ignore the Baltoys in my jungle. I don't care. It's not even, there's so much experience on the map. You must be getting all of the contested experience possible. It's absolutely critical. It's absolutely key for your team. Now, what else is important on this map is you've got to be flexible with like top and bottom rotations, because you don't know where that Reggie, where the Regieleki's going to spawn. Okay, you can see there's a Registeel up top. I just happen to be top. Okay, so it's not like it's not as one-dimensional anymore. So you've got to be very flexible. You've got to be very fluid. That is key. Like it honestly, it's key. So you just need to keep it in mind. Like, you can't just play as brain dead as you used to, because there's so many more variables on this map that, yeah, you just need to take into consideration. Okay, like the same like normal stuff applies, right? Like you can see here in this top fight, I've deliberately stayed back because our bottom two stayed in the bottom lane. They got the bottom objective. Like, I wasn't going to be greedy and overextend there, so I've deliberately stayed back. I've gotten a bit too aggressive. I almost died. Like, I was saved by my Eldegoss, right? He gave me a shield. So you can see the importance of just like maintain those same skills that you've got. Like, that's not going to change. Yeah. However, like, and look at like our team versus their team in the team makeup. Like, we've got Eldegoss, Sylveon, Slowbro, Glaceon. So we are absolutely crushing the enemy team early. Like, the enemy team have got Delphox, they've got Psyduck, which is good. Like, Trevenant takes a little bit to get online. Like, the other team has got these late game characters, and you can see it. Like, they're paying for it. Like, they're paying for it. And this is new. Like, I've not experienced this when I'm playing Pokemon Unite, so you've got to take this into consideration. The early game is far more important than you think. Like, wait, like, if you thought the early game was important, and even if you had a suspicion that the early game was important, it's 10 times more important now. Like, you must get this right. Okay, now, like, the early game discussion as well, like, with that, when you're playing in the jungle, or like, if you're playing and you notice that you've got laners that need experience, you've got to help them out. Like, if you're using, like, if you notice someone on your team is using a scale Pokemon, like, for example, like, let's say something like a Tyranitar, a Gardevoir in lane, like a Delphox in lane, like something that takes a while and requires investment, you've got to get that thing online as quick as you can. Because what's going to happen if you don't is that it's going to lose lane but because there's so much experience in the lane that it's not getting, it's going to be stuck at some like really bad level that's just going to suck for everyone. And then you're going to go down and the enemy laner is going to be a higher level than you. Like, that's so bad. So you absolutely have got to like consider if there's something that scales on your team, like you can't be as neglectful anymore because there's a lot of contested experience and you can't just let the enemy take all of that experience. Now, it's pretty frustrating in this sense because it's like, we've never really felt before that our teammates' poor picks were our responsibility, but now they kind of are because it's going to destroy us like really, really badly if we don't take these things into consideration, like really, really badly. So, yeah, that's one thing that you've got to consider. You've got to keep it front of mind. Otherwise, you're going to lose a heck of a lot more games than you think. So, early game, early farm, Regidrago, like the overall theme is you've got to give yourself that experience. Okay, that is the overall theme, and you can see here he's super greedy. But I just want some kills. I want some more damage. Now, the other point that this brings me into is that if you're using a supporter or a defender in your lane, it is so much more critical now to be using an experience share. Okay, we all understand that the experience share is kind of like an experience generator, and that it kind of gives your lane like 30% more experience. Now, percentages, of course, are proportionate based. So 30% of 1,000 versus 30% of 1,500, that's a big difference in experience. And with this more experience on the map, it has not changed the amount of experience it takes for us to reach the next level. So you've got to use an experience share for the person that you're in your lane with. Like, again, it's about getting the experience lead over the enemy team. Like, it's why you want to go to Regidrago for the overall global experience for your team. Like, it's the same idea, it's the same concept. Okay, it's that you've got to get experience for your team. It's really, really, really important. Like, it's really key to be able to do this. So please take this into consideration if you're going to play a supporter or a tank. Yeah, because the early game is so important, guys. It's really, really important. So just don't be neglectful of that. Okay, the next part, so it's like the early game and the late game. Okay, the middle game is like a little bit finicky with the Regidrago and all that stuff. And the middle game's always, like very fluid. The end game, guys, the end game is critical to get right. There's a different objective, okay? And be mindful of like the capacities of the goal zones and stuff as well. So, like the bottom goal's got 120. So like don't just get caught on like if someone dunks 100, continue to run through. Like so there's like a couple little subtleties, right? But point number one, it's a lot easier to defend from a winning position now because there's less bushes. So like the enemy can't like catch up and like trap and put like portals and bushes and stuff like that. Like there's a lot that's changed. So like it's a lot easier to win from a winning position. Okay, that's point number one. But like you can see, like this is why I'm playing the way that I am. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm forcing the enemy out. Like I'm staying safe because I've got a contact. But what I'm doing is I'm keeping myself nice and like distant and safe from the enemy to zone far enough out so then we can rip down this objective when we feels appropriate. Now, additionally, like, and you can see like the enemy Sableye has been getting some scores, so like it's close. However, like we're able to zone them out, and geez, is this dicey? What happens here? I mean, look, like yeah, there's like fairly zoned out. The enemy team could have come, but like it's a lot harder to get in without the bushes, right? Like it's a lot more challenging to get in. Okay, now the next point is that don't get team wiped after. Okay, like if your team gets team wiped, it's essentially Rayquaza. But if the objective is still like so as in like don't die for the objective as critically as you normally would have with Rayquaza. Because even if your team doesn't get this objective, it doesn't mean that the enemy team's going to be able to score. Think of it this way. If someone on the enemy team is going in to score, your team's got to kill them. Your team's got to be able to kill them. Because you're going to be able to steal that buff. Right, so when the enemy team gets the Groudon buff, yeah, like your team can steal it, and that means that your team's like able to get into some score, right? So okay, so like let me give you a mathematical example of this. Let's say your team's up by 200 points, and the enemy team secures the Groudon, you stop 2 of them from scoring, so they get 300. It's like they've just dunked a whole bunch of points. But now the game's within like 150. You kill 1 or 2 of them, right? Let's say you've killed 1 or 2. Let's say one person on the enemy team has kept their shield, right? Yeah, so like one person on the enemy team has kept their shield. And you can see here, like, this is why they straight away. It's like, there's still 5 of them alive. I'm not in a position to just run in, die, hand my thing over. The Mr. Mime has now based, so I'm like, okay, cool. I noticed that he's based, so none of their teams is looking to push. But like, there's 5 of them alive. Why would I run in and try and score, potentially giving up my shield and throwing the game? So like, you've got to play the late game like a little bit more differently. Like, understand your role. Like, I can see that my team is going in, they've gotten some score, and like they're trying to get little bits and pieces of extra, but if your role is like better meant for defending, like if I just ran off, I could have potentially not scored, handed over my buff, the Pikachu gets in 70 score. Yeah, like you can see now, like the Ninetales has gotten the buff and he was able to get 100 hits. Like that's a big deal, guys. Like that's a really, really, really big deal. So you've got to understand, what is my role? Am I going to be able to score? Am I better off defending and making sure that this buff doesn't go into the hands of somebody else? Like, we've got to just be very, very mindful of this, okay? Now, just because you have the buff doesn't mean you can run in and score for free, okay? There's small shields. So I've got the buff, which means I've got increased scoring speed, but I've got to be very, very, very careful with how I go in. Okay, like you can't be as brainless as you could with Rayquaza. So you can see here, I'm keeping my distance, there's some stunning, I'm going to go in, I'm trying to get 50, like, you know, like on a side bit there, that's fine. But we're pretty much wrapped up and won the game with that. So, like, the late game, you've got to play this, like, and this is not a how-to guide, okay? This is just general tips that I've noticed in the first, like, 24 to 48 hours of playing. Groudon is very different, very, very different. The early game is absolutely critical, and you must get it under wraps. And if you're using a scaling Pokemon, you must have an EXP share in lane. But also, like, I would avoid it in solo queue, because if your team neglects you, you're pretty screwed. But anyway, guys, look, I hope you've gotten some good pieces of actionable advice out of this video that you can take into your solo queue games. And good luck out there, because it is pretty challenging with some differences and there's some teething issues. But of course, always have fun.